All right, so I got some news. I don't know if you would really consider it good or bad, but just news. I don't have any clips to show us today. And some of you might be thankful, and some of you might be kind of disappointed. But wherever you land on that, just know that it's not going to be any less impactful. At least that's my hope. So without further ado, let's jump into this. I'll talk about a change in weather, huh? I mean, you remember last week's video, I broke out the hoodie for the first time in a while because the temperature started to change. And now we got fog. Now keep in mind, I do kind of record these beforehand, and so when I'm recording this specific video, it is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the weather is still changing. And with that, I mean, the air too, it smells fresher. Might be colder, but it smells fresher, at least to me. But with this change, I hope also in this video will kind of come with a change in mindset, hopefully. Because I know I mentioned in the intro that I don't have any clips to show us, and I don't. But I do have three pictures. Three pictures, and I want to tackle each one independently and kind of focus on one and kind of explain a little bit, and then we'll jump into the other one. So the first one I want to show you is a quote. Now, some I found two different people. It was saying two different people said this, but this particular one that I'm going to show you says Samuel Johnson. But it says, "The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken." And I want to sit here and think about this for a little bit. How true is it, and how many people resonate with that? That we think about habits, whether it's something as simple as, I don't know, going to the gym every morning and exercising early in the morning. And then that you won't really want to break that habit, right? Because that's a good habit to kind of form. But then you got these addictions, the drinking, becoming an alcoholic, the smoking, the doing drugs, that going to the club and partying, spending all kinds of money and wasting money, whatever this might be. It starts off small, so you don't really feel it. But as you keep doing it, as you keep going to the club, as you keep drinking, as you keep smoking, as you keep these practices going, the more repetition that you do, the stronger it becomes. And before you know it, you're like, I can't quit. Just can't seem to quit. And then, sometimes you have to find yourself going to these AA meetings, for those that are stuck drinking and, have become an alcoholic. And you have to go to therapy for certain other things, whether it's anxiety and things like that. Like the situations that we put ourselves in, the habits that we tend to form, we don't realize that we're forming bad habits until it's become an addiction and it's kind of taking control of our lives. And then we ask ourselves, how did I get here? How did I get here? It's because we didn't recognize the signs, the warning signs that we were forming these habits. So I just want us to be mindful as we go through life. What habits are we forming? What habits are we building, and repetitions are we building? Is it a good habit to build, or is it a bad habit? And if it's a bad habit, then perhaps maybe we need to course correct and adjust before it becomes too strong that we feel like we're drowning and that we can't break free from this addiction that we find ourselves in, this pit that we find ourselves in. this nasty repetitive cycle, this hamster wheel of just feels like your life is meaningless and, nothing is purposeful anymore. You just feel this dejected, depressed outlook because of what you've now formed as a habit. So I would suggest dive into your word, read the Bible, pray, ask God for help if you are in this situation where you find this habit and now it's too strong to be broken, that you can't break it yourself. Ask God for help. He will bring people in your life and surround you with people that will help break this chain that has now become too strong. Because you might not be able to break it on your own, but God can help break it for you if you trust him. So I just want us thinking about that, to be careful about what habits we are forming in our lives. Now, that leads me to this second one. And this one, I kind of, there's this Catch a Lift is a company that I guess veterans can kind of join to kind of help motivate them to exercise and kind of, lose weight and just, kind of stay in shape. And this company kind of sends me quotes every Wednesday. And this one quote that they sent me, I want to put up on the screen. It says, "Focus on the step in front of you, not the whole staircase." And I want us thinking about this too. Focus on the step in front of you, not the whole staircase. Because if we think about it, we sometimes look at life, whatever is in front of us, whatever problem is in front of us, whatever, is happening in our life, and we get overwhelmed. We get so overwhelmed that we just sometimes will throw in the towel because it's just too much. It's too much. And we just want to check out, that's enough. Instead of focusing on the next step. Don't focus on the whole staircase and how many stairs there are and how high up it goes and how many flights you're going to have to go up. Focus on the next step. Just take that next step. Just step out. Don't look at the big picture. Just focus on what's right in front of you. What is the next step? And then that way you won't be overwhelmed. Because I think all too often we focus on the entire staircase of life. The entire staircase. And part of that stuff we're not even supposed to climb. Like, you got all of these flights and all of these floors in between these flights of stairs. And we're looking at the entire staircase all the way up, see how high it goes, thinking that we have to climb all the way up there, when really, we're only going to floor 2 or floor 3. But we're so overwhelmed by how high it goes because there's 25 floors, and we think to ourselves that we got to climb all the way to the 25th floor, when we are only going to floor 2 or 3. Now, for those that are actually going all the way up to the 25th floor, you still focus on that next step. Maybe trick your mind, so to speak, and tell your mind, I'm only going to the 2nd floor. I'm only going to the 3rd floor. And then you get to the 3rd floor. I'm only going to the 4th floor. I'm only going to the 5th floor, until you get all the way up there. Whatever you got to do to motivate yourself to keep going, do that. But don't focus on the complete thing right at the beginning. A mountain is only so big when you're standing at the bottom, looking up at how big it is. But once you start walking, guess what? The top gets less and less insurmountable because you're getting closer to the top. But you got to move from the bottom. You got to start. So you can use that with anything, with exercise, with jumping into, I don't know, starting a life, going to work, whatever it might be, you know, like raising a family, whatever it might be, you just start. Just move from, as the pastor at Fountain Springs has said before, Pastor David, move from zero or run from zero. Just start and focus on the step in front of you. Now, this brings me to the last picture that I want to show you. And I saw this at the gym. At the gym I go to, they have this little store in the front where you can kind of buy water and, energy drinks and like protein shakes and, all that kind of stuff. And they have a whiteboard that kind of has a motivational saying for, those are exercising. And I took a picture of this, and it says, the heaviest weights are the excuses you make. And I want us thinking about this too. How many of us make excuses for not starting that project? How many of us make excuses for not losing weight? How many of us make excuses for not being kinder to somebody else? Because you're jaded, because people have hurt you in the past, because it's too tough to exercise because you're too fat. Or because you just don't want to start that project because you need all of this equipment, and you don't have it yet, and you need it to be perfect. You need it to be perfect before you start. Well, I got news for you. It does not have to be perfect, because you're not perfect. We are humans. We make mistakes. And we learn from these mistakes, hopefully. So stop trying to make it perfect. Stop trying to make sure that everything is, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Because if we ourselves aren't perfect human beings, because the Bible says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So nobody is perfect. It also says that there's no one righteous, not even one. Now, these two scriptures alone tell us that we are not perfect people. So how can we expect that a project that we're trying to start and we don't because we make excuses that it's not perfect, people aren't going to like it? Stop believing that. We are human beings. So why would it be perfect if we're not perfect? There can always be stuff that's better, and you can always learn and adapt and become better and grow. But start. Stop making excuses for why you won't do something, especially if it's beneficial to you or to somebody else. So I thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that it's helped motivate you and encourage you to stop making excuses, and whatever it is that you've been putting off that you should probably start, that you've been looking at that's been insurmountable, or whatever habit that you've kind of built up for yourself that is now become too strong that you can't break these bad habits. I hope that it's kind of encouraged you to make that change, to reach out, to focus on just the next step, and to focus on asking God for help and reaching out, and to start that project, whatever it might be. So I thank you guys so much for watching, and until next week, you guys stay safe out there, and as always, be blessed.